Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Chelsea and I have been on the carnivore diet for 16 months. That is right, almost a year and a half of carnivore eating. Before I did carnivore, I did a series of other things and I've been on a weight loss journey for over 2 years. I've lost a total of 90 pounds. I've gained food freedom. I have restored my meaning and will to live in this life. And I don't want that journey to go to waste. No. I want to talk to you about it. Maybe perhaps if you can relate to some of the things that I went through, it could help encourage you to change your life as well. So I want to show you a picture of this lady. That's right. That lady was me 3 Christmases ago. I was so unhappy. I look at some of these pictures from my past and I don't really keep a lot of pictures around. I've always just been a person where I'm not great at taking pictures and I don't want to look at myself when I was at my worst. But when I look back at these pictures, sometimes I don't even remember looking like that. I don't recognize myself. It doesn't feel like myself. But when I look at those pictures and I see my face and I start to remember, I remember how sad I was as a human being. And I remember what it was like to live in that body and live in that life. Now, the outward appearance and how you're eating, I truly believe has more to do with what is going on inside of you than the outside. And today I want to share with you what my journey was like in order to help encourage you to get your food freedom, to get back your life and enjoy every single day because you deserve it. The world deserves you. So let's dive into it. Okay, so the very first thing that I did when I finally decided that I needed to lose weight was I gave up dessert. Now that doesn't seem like a big deal, but when I did that and I actually started to pay attention to my eating patterns and habits, it was a huge wake-up call. I had binge eating problems and disorders and yo-yo dieting issues. And what happened when I decided to get it together and be mindful of what I was doing blew me away. So I remember it was like a week or two and I had given up dessert, but I'd also tried to stop snacking because that was one of my biggest pitfalls was if food was around, I was going to pick at it. And I never quite understood the mentality behind it or why I was so compulsive with it. I just figured I had impulse control issues and there were all kinds of things in my broken little brain that was causing me to eat uncontrollably. But what happened was I decided to be mindful and I remember, and what would happen was things would be going well. Like it would be just a normal day and things would be going well. And then I would have a thought. I would think about a conversation I had had earlier, or I would think about an argument I had lost, or I would think about something that happened when I was 12 or 13 where I was wronged or hurt or resentful in some way. And I went to the pantry to grab a snack every time one of those thoughts happened. Now, when I stopped myself from doing that because I was being mindful, I actually calculated how often I did that. And in a 10-minute period, I reached for the pantry 12 times. Now, I wouldn't go gobble up everything in there, but I realized I would have a thought or something that upset me or something that was bothering me, and I would instantly go to the pantry and grab some crackers or grab a chip or grab a cookie, whatever pantry stuff you have around. I would grab that. And I didn't realize how often I was doing that. I didn't even notice how often I was doing that. But 12 times in 10 minutes is insane. I didn't realize that the thoughts that I was having all day were causing me to go and eat because I was having these thoughts subconsciously and I was eating my feelings and not dealing with them. Why wasn't I dealing with them, you ask? Well, I didn't know. At the time, I didn't know, but I knew that if I wanted to change my life and live differently, I was going to have to figure it out. Now, this is where the Lord came in, and I cannot talk about my journey or my story without giving any glory and credit to the Lord. In fact, I give all of the credit and the glory to the Lord, because without the Lord who saved me and got me through this time, I would not be here today standing still. I was at the end of my rope, and I didn't want to live another day in that life. But first, I had to deal with all of these thoughts and memories. Now, I remember when I was going through that and I kept reaching for the pantry and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going back there. I was crushed inside. It was a pain that I could not describe. And it wasn't for the food. It was because I didn't realize these thoughts, these memories, this resentment that I was holding in was causing me to seek comfort. Instead of dealing with those things, thinking about those things, I was seeking comfort in food and I removed my comfort blanket and I prayed a lot in that time, because when you remove your comfort blankets, the only comfort you have is the Lord and yourself. That's it. No one else in your life, No one else in your family can change your diet or your way of eating or your mindset for you. That is all you. You are born alone, and you have to change your mindset on your own. You cannot stop bad things that have happened to you. You cannot stop people who have wronged you. You cannot take away the shame that has already happened to you. It's gone, it's down the toilet, it's done. But the aftermath you can affect and you can change. When I was beginning, I didn't know that I could do that. I just thought your thoughts are your thoughts. And what really is happening is you allow the pain inside of you to imprison you and keep you trapped in these cycles. And there is no life worth living where you are in a prison of your own mind. So I remember that day where I went for the pantry 12 times in 10 minutes, I was going to cave. The pain was there, my comfort was gone, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So I remember this was the first time I just went for a walk. That's all I knew how to do because I wasn't eating junk. I really wanted to change and I had nothing left. I wasn't exercising at the time, so I just went for a walk. And I remember that first walk, after the first 5 or so minutes, it caused me to calm down, gather my thoughts. I was alone. I could sort of pray and figure out what was going on. So as I was starting to walk, the memories would pop up. Just that was my random, when I let my mind go, the thoughts that came up were always something negative or hurt and resentful and all of this stuff. And it was like, this is what my mind was thinking of 24 hours a day. The reason I was so heavy and the reason why I was eating myself silly was because I was living in this mindset 24 hours a day. And I remember praying, and I will never forget, and something clicked in me, and it felt like the Lord was saying, let the memories come. In my own thoughts, it was like a piece of wisdom was granted me, and it said, let the memories come. And I would finish, instead of stopping a sad memory or resentment mid-thought and going to eat or putting it out of my mind, I was forced to relive these painful moments in my mind, these memories that came. And as I was going through, I let the thoughts and the memories sort of finish, but in a different light. I stopped at the pain and I saw things through others' perspectives. I got a grasp on the situation in a logical way. Had I been wronged by people? Absolutely. I had wronged others too, and I lived in that pain and embarrassment and shame as well. But when you stop and you look at these memories and things from a future self looking at a past self, you can kind of look on these things with compassion. For instance, things in my childhood, the way my parents dealt with things, I would relive these memories and walk down this memory lane. And as a parent now and as an adult, I'd say, maybe it wasn't the best decision they made, maybe it wasn't the worst, but what would I have done in that situation? I realized I was not an easy kid, and some of the situations I presented them with, my goodness, people can't figure that out on their own. Kids don't come with manuals. It's increasingly become my focus in seeing things from other people's perspectives and why they made the decisions that they did. And as I started to relive all of these memories and sort of give myself some grace and give compassion to the other people in these stories, in my perspective, the weight of these memories started to dissipate. And again, it took a whole lot of walks for this to start to kick in. I'm telling you, it wasn't an instant success, and I had to relive a lot of painful things. And I remember there were some things where I just couldn't wrap my head around forgiveness. I just couldn't get there, and I was stuck in them. And in those things, that's where prayer took over, and I just kept asking for my ability to forgive these situations. And if you are patient and steadfast, it will come. I was finally able to let go of a lot of things. And as I started to walk with the Lord, and as I started to walk through this pain, and it started to lift off of me, and weight started to come off of me, I started to gain confidence. And it was like God was giving me a new set of eyes. I started seeing people in the present with more compassion and empathy, and I tried to be kinder to others. Now, the one person at the very end of this that I had the most trouble forgiving, and this was my giant inside of me, was myself. I could forgive other people for wrongs that I had done. And I remember during this period, I actually started to reach out to people from my past and actually apologize for things. And it was weird because you're like, hey, remember this thing 12 years ago that happened? I just wanted to let you know that I was in the wrong in that and you were right. And I'm really sorry. And it's kind of weird, but the people, you don't know what that does. You know what I mean? That just saying, acknowledging their role in your life and your journey and your role in maybe making their life a little less pleasant, the forgiveness that comes with this. And it's a weight off of them as well as me. So all of these things started to kind of culminate and circle together. But the one person in a lot of these memories and stories that I couldn't forgive was myself. I was my own giant. I had to find it in my heart to forgive me. And one day I was walking and I remember saying, if anybody has ever wronged me or hurt me and they have come to me and they've apologized to me, I have a hard time not forgiving them. Even if I'm mad, and I may be mad for a little while, I have always had a really hard time just holding on to it. It's almost like, that situation is closed and eventually I come around and I can't just leave it forever, especially if someone apologizes. So why can't I do that to myself? Why do we do that? We will forgive some of the worst transgressions against us, but we can't forgive ourselves for our own shame and our own, missteps. Because honestly, there's not a person in this world who has not undergone a period or a fall from grace where maybe you haven't been at your best self and maybe you've hurt people or maybe you've stepped on toes you shouldn't have. But, when that happens to us, we forgive others. What makes you think that you can't forgive yourself? And I know that it's kind of a novel concept. Oh yeah, forgive yourself. Whatever, Chelsea, you don't know what I've done. Do it. All of that time that has gone is down the drain. You cannot get that back. But what is going on when you don't release and you don't forgive yourself is just like me reaching for the pantry. You are literally living in those memories and living in that pain all day, every day. And you don't realize how much of a toll that takes on you. Because what I've learned, and a book around this time came to me from a friend, she recommended it, Joyce Meyer's Battlefield of the Mind. I highly, highly recommend you read that. It is not just a religious book. It is also a very good self-help book if you are looking to improve the quality of your thoughts, because your thoughts run your life. And if you don't believe me, go visit one of those old friends, and everybody has one of these friends or relatives where you'll see them every few years, and every few years they are telling you the same stories, the same sad stories about people who hurt them or how they were wronged or no one visits them. They will tell you the same stories over and over again. And do you know why? Because on their mind all day, every day, that is what they are thinking about. They are thinking about things that happened 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they are refusing to move forward and live a fulfilling life full of joy because they cannot let go of the past. Now, does that mean just forget everything and forgive everything? No, nothing is instant, but think about these things. Don't let these memories and this pain rule where you are now. It will hinder your success and it will block any future joy that you may receive. And that is not a life worth living. And you deserve a life worth living. I have met people who, the first half of their life, including me, train wrecks, who left, rubble in their path. And they live a really great life. Why do they deserve that and not you? Because you can correct those wrongs. Someone who lives their whole life in a sad way is not doing any good for the kingdom of the Lord. No way, no how. Someone who can say, I've been wrong, but I want to fix it and I want to correct it and I want to make a mark on this planet and do something good, always has a chance to make change and live a very fulfilling last half of their life. There's no reason you can't. There's no reason anyone can't. And I don't care who you are, you deserve just as much as everybody else in this world. But you will not get anything if you don't work for it. And doing the work is getting through your own mindsets. Now, another part that snagged me up, maybe this is a mindset that's troubling you as well. Later on in my journey, I remember when I started to lose weight, I started to get rid of the negativity and the memories and all that stuff. And later on, I remembered thinking, I'm losing weight. I'm actually seeing my goal come to fruition. I'm going to get to a life where I want to live. And that terrified me. It actually almost held me back from continuing on my journey because I couldn't totally see the end result. But I was like, if I get to my goal weight, if I get to my goal life, I have to maintain that. And I've been on this journey and trying different things and constantly changing and moving over the last couple years. What am I going to do when I get there? That is terrifying because it's like once you finally conquer your giant, what do you do next? Well, I'm here to tell you that the next part of your adventure is probably going to be just as exciting and just as arduous as the first half of your journey. You will always have a new goal to attain. Setting new goals is really difficult mentally because you have to figure out what you want. And I will tell you, when you get rid of negative mindsets and you get rid of old ways of thinking and you start to live in the present and think about the future in a positive, joyful way, you will start to figure out who you are as a person and you will start to respect yourself. You respect people. You'll bump into a stranger on the street and say, I'm so sorry, oh my goodness, but you'll bash yourself all day, verbally, mentally, physically. You'll just like really be hard on yourself all day. Stop it. You are worthy of respect. You have to spend 24 hours a day with yourself. You may not love yourself initially, but you can start to. You can start to like yourself. Imagine you were stuck with a person all day. Eventually, you'd probably try and figure out how to get along because you're stuck with them. Well, that's you. That's yourself. And when you are trying to make changes and you want to see a difference in yourself, that is what you are forced to do. You're sort of forced to get along with yourself and come to terms with yourself and figure out that just like everyone, you have flaws, but you also have strengths. So focus on your strengths and be kind to yourself about your strengths. Don't let other people tell you who you are, especially if you're not sure who you are yet, because those people will shape and mold your decisions, your goals, your mindset. That's not right. Figure out who you are as a person. And these are not big monumental things. If you're eating a food or you're taking a walk or you're doing any activity, ask yourself, do I enjoy doing this? Do I even like this? Why do I like this? Why don't I like this? And when you do that all day, you actually really start to figure out who you are as a person. And the beauty of that is when you figure out who you are as a person and what you like and what you don't like, you will start to attract things in your life that you enjoy. Something that you may have found very, very attractive in the past will no longer be attractive to you if you cannot find a way for that thing or that person or that anything to fulfill your needs and your values. And then you get to be choosy and selective with who and what you bring into your life. And slowly but surely, you will mold yourself into an entirely new person. Your changes outward will always begin on the inside. So get to know yourself from the inside out and allow yourself to flourish and grow. There is no reason you can't have that. It is possible. I was a person, you saw that lady in that picture, I felt hopeless. I never thought that I would achieve a life full of success and joy and enthusiasm. I never thought I'd have a YouTube channel of all things. And I somehow, through the grace of God and through a lot of work and changing my mindset, was able to get there. And so can you. So I hope that this has found some use for you. I hope that it's been helpful to someone out there. God bless you, and I will see you in the next video.